for a voice for business. Businesses typically pay 2 to 4 times the taxes as citizens. However, they don't get a vote. And hitting about 8,000 doors, I strictly heard what the citizens said. And there was 3 or 4 messages that they sent when I went door to door. And one of them was, why would we have built a new police station, without selling the old? So actually, this was something that, being involved in a budget process earlier in 2009 and 10, those questions had come up a couple times, and as you know, the school district had been looking at potentially purchasing it. So this motion was going to come forward prior to even having the work session on the 24th. I actually was a little bit surprised, being a new council member, not really being involved, of hearing that the seniors, as Mr. Potter had said, you and I had a conversation for quite some time. And so being in the industry, I'm kind of market driven, and I didn't find any hurt to having a for sale sign up to give the community some confidence that yes, the city is trying to be as fiscally responsible as possible, because the timeline we need to figure out how much would go up for sale and to put it up for sale, and actually I meant for sale or lease, would still give you guys working time. At the same time, I didn't want to have where there would be a bunch of investment of either money or time from your group if in the end it was going to go up for sale and we weren't going to allow you to just utilize it. Didn't know if we were or not. I did make the mistake because, as even our city attorney here wasn't aware of, if it became a 2-2, it automatically came back to a motion. I have since apologized phone-wise to Mr. Reib for that behavior, but I do feel, like I said, I'm in the industry, that there is no danger or hurt by giving the community the idea that there's all options out there. And one reason being, I've heard from a few different people or ideas of potential people that might want to go in it. It was more for dialogue for all of those who've been frustrated and have stated, why aren't we putting it up for sale? So just a clarification, I've talked to your coordinator down at the senior center. I've talked to numerous seniors in the community that either belong or don't belong, and gotten some of their feedback both ways. So I'd just like to at least interject that.
There was a motion and a second before us, and according to the rules of procedure that govern the council, when there is a tie vote, it comes back to the next meeting. I don't see a need to apologize for that, Councilmember Swecker. That is, Reib, that is why those rules and procedures are in place, to protect us when there is that sort of outcome. I assume that each council member may want to make a statement. We will open it up to further comments if there's something new that we want to bring, and then we have to act upon the motion because it's unfinished business. Councilmember Little, do you have a comment?
I'll defer to the most senior members first, if they want to talk.
All right, senior member.
Did you just call me old?
No, you've been on here longer than I have. That's a fact.
Thanks. I just, in hearing from the seniors tonight, and I believe all options are still on the table, including selling it. But I would like us to do our due diligence. We have asked the seniors to do some work, to do some surveying of their membership. We're doing some research, and before we actually make the decision, I would like to have all the work done so that we can make an informed decision and do what is best, make the best decision possible on what to do with the police station. Whether that's senior center, sell it outright, or something else. But I would like us to do all the work first before we make a move. So that's where I stand.
Councilmember Swecker.
I'm the third senior, I guess. Thank you, sir. I guess my concerns were, one, we've been in the middle of a process of exploring options. I've been on the council since late 2007, and the police department, the police station has been vacant since, I think, August of 2008. Somebody correct me, ballpark. At that time, as a member of the city council, it was brought before us as to whether or not we wanted to sell it or if we wanted to keep it. And we were also exploring the option of ISD 194, utilizing it. We had talked to them about purchasing, leasing space in the building. So it wasn't appropriate to sell it, especially as the market was starting to tank. We wanted to get the most value out of it if we were going to sell it. When that didn't come to fruition and other items came to the school district that they had to address first, the next thing that came before us was the senior center and possibly the historical society. While I will not support a tax increase to move that, I think we need to make it tax neutral, and I think we can find a way if that's what we choose to do. I firmly believe that we need to go through the process of understanding what all of our options are, be it senior center, historical society. We've had a resident, somebody's going to shoot me for tossing this one out, but a possible post office. I think that the importance of the location, it being on a civic campus, is something we really need to look hard at. If it's at the far end of town and it's not really in our downtown area, and we're working very hard to make this a real downtown area, which I believe it is, I think that we really need to explore all options before we put it on the market. If we do put it on the market in a down economy, we're also not going to get the ultimate value for it that we could possibly get if the market turns. I'm not a market expert like Mrs. LeBeau or Councilmember LeBeau, but I firmly believe as a taxpayer that that would be the right thing to do. So that's why I will be voting the way I am.
Councilmember Little.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want everybody that's here and viewing to think back to their school days, and perhaps the younger members of the audience can help our staff on that. But you need to think about it. I think about it like writing a paper. There's essentially two ways to write a paper, and only one good way. And the way to write a good paper is you do all the research. You do every little detail. You read every article thoroughly, and then you come up with a conclusion. And then you write the paper based on that conclusion. Now, certainly, some people that have gone to school know that occasionally you're there the night before, and you're trying to write a paper. And when you're short on time, what you do is you come up with a conclusion, and then you go and research things that then support your conclusion, but you don't get the full picture that way. So I think in the same respect, I mean, this is not an assignment that's due tomorrow, right? We need to take our time and do this right, and do our homework right for the citizens and the seniors. I mean, we have a Lakeville legend here in Wally Potter that helped build this city, and we deserve to give them the respect and patience of researching this through. So I'm going to make a motion in a second, and the effect of this motion will be that it'll allow the council to do their homework before we have to vote on this proposal at all. So I'm moving to moving to table the motion indefinitely. So move to table the motion indefinitely.
Well,
I would second that.
At this moment, though, we cannot entertain another motion. There's a motion on the floor.
Point of order, actually 4.5.5, any motion on the table can be tabled, or any motion on the table can be tabled indefinitely. It is an active motion. It's no different than any other.
We are at this moment discussing the current motion on the floor, and I'd like to just make my comments.
Point of order.
For those who are here, I am telling you that I have been the most vocal proponent of selling that police station from day one. I think it's an embarrassment to the city that we have sat on that asset in this financially struggling time for our residents, for our businesses. And so I have, again, from day one, wanting to sell it. I would say this to our senior members. I think the building is very challenging. I think it's going to be inadequate for your needs. And I think what we need in this community is a paradigm shift to when we think about senior recreational opportunities. I don't see Ms. Waters as a facility manager. I see her as an events coordinator. We live in a community of 38 square miles with a growing senior population. That facility would quickly prove to be inadequate. What I would recommend, since we need to be, I think, reframing this as an events coordinator, is look at this community and look at the number of facilities that are out there. I know the faith-based community would be opening their facilities to you. That would give us so many more opportunities. It would also, I think, recruit a significant pool of volunteers. Immediately, we're also building 3 senior care facilities in this community. We have unfortunately, a school building now that is empty and for lease would provide, I think, some significant opportunities for expanded sort of recreational activities that this facility across the street would not offer. I would counter that getting all the options on the table and making an informed decision necessitates testing the market to see what the market would respond if it was for sale or for lease. And when I hear, as Councilmember Swecker mentioned, a possible interest by the post office in that facility, there is a revenue-generating opportunity for the city in these tight budget times. So, again, we do not have uniformity on this issue. I think we're a stronger council when we can have these sort of impassioned discussions. Councilmember LeBeau.
I'd just like to make one more comment to this. Being newer, like I said, to the council, but spending the last 2 years pretty involved in a lot of work sessions and council meetings, it's just, as I've talked to the city administrator, to not have a defined vision for the community. Some of the things that I heard going door to door, some of the things that I've brought up to at least get community input. I think that we owe it to the people who have had a frustration and concern out there, and we also owe it to you that have asked about having it. I can appreciate, do we wait, 60 days, 90 days, 200 days to respectfully give the seniors time as we waited for the school. Yes, prices have adjusted, but we also lose tax dollars that could go in to our general fund, school general fund, the county. We also increase maintaining the building, have repairs that are happening, and we have a lot of vacancies out there that continue to make the market value of it going down. So my intent in the business I'm in was to give a twofold, put it up for sale. Obviously, Mr. Potter, you have a very good point. We wouldn't be taking $500,000 or $800,000 if that's 50% of the appraisal. I can appreciate that. But if the seniors go through all this work and then find out that they can raise $750,000 to fix it, but who's going to, if the council would then need to approve giving a building that has a value to it? And that's where the city differ. Now, if people spoke out and want to feel differently about it after what they've said to me door to door, I want to hear from them. But you're right, I am here to represent the taxpayers of the community and the voting community.
I would say in addition, we have a fire department right across the street that is looking for additional administrative space. One of the options being considered, because the need is so great, is displacing Alina out of Fire Station 4. I don't find that an acceptable option. Another option is investing significant money in a remodeling of that facility, of the fire station, which once again would ultimately prove inadequate. I think there could be a partnership of the fire station moving across the street. And this is back to a philosophical discussion that I have been asking for over and over. We need to talk about core essential services in this community. And not to offend the senior center, but the fire station would take precedent in terms of core essential services. Right? One more comment. I don't think that the building being up for sale or for lease, even if there was an offer, would suggest we had to take the offer. Okay. So again, it is getting all the options out on the table so that we can make an informed decision. If the building is up for sale or for lease, we would have a much better, I think, direction on where to head after the seniors come back to us with their findings. Councilmember Swecker.
Love the fire department expansion proposal. I think that we, again, like you just said, there are other options that we need to be looking at. They're training over there tonight. They're utilizing that building because their facility is not adequate enough for them to train at such the level that they're training at tonight. So, again, I think that there are other options and avenues that we need to explore, and I want to continue to do that for a little while.
So would there be agreement in my last sort of hypothesis that the building being up for sale or for lease doesn't negate the possibility